Hello and welcome. Today we've got Gene Ho, Donald Trump's photographer from 2015 to 2016, and then with Donald Trump Jr. in 2020. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Unless, of course, myself and Gene can choose our words wisely due to the insane censorship that's happening right now. Gene, thank you for joining me, sir. How are you and what have you been up to?
I am fine. It's great to be on your show. This is wonderful that I'm here. So honored. I've been busy. I'm with General Michael Flynn and Eric Trump, and we're on tour with the Reawaken America tour. So we've traveled over 12 cities so far, and so we're just making our way across the United States.
It sounds very amazing, very exciting. I've got so many questions. And I just want to say I'm turning up my volume here. So if you do get any feedback, please do let me know.
You got it.
I hope that's okay. So now, why don't you give us a short presentation of how you became a photographer and then how you got into becoming Donald Trump's photographer from 2015?
Nicholas, see, here's the most craziest thing. I never set out to do any of this. 25, 30 years ago, I just started doing photography. Who knew? Because I wasn't very good at math. So I decided to do something that I was halfway decent at. And it was photography. And throughout the years, I photographed a lot of celebrities in the United States, a lot of the pro sports players, their weddings, all this stuff. But I never did anything with politics. And then just basically, Nicholas, a chance encounter before Donald Trump was even officially running for president. Someone asked me to do a photo shoot. Donald Trump was there, and I liked his message. I liked what he said, and I stuck with him for 2 years.
Wow. So where was you when you first met President Trump and you was asked to take pictures? I mean, where was that event?
It was in a place called Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And just like as fate would have it, that was where my home was for 30 years. So I was there. Someone in a magazine just said, listen, we need some pictures for the magazine. Go down there. Donald Trump just happened to be there, met up with him and his crew, basically said, hey, would you like to be Donald Trump's photographer just for the day? And then I said, yeah, what an opportunity. But, what I ended up seeing with Donald Trump over the course of 2 years is basically the difference between what the mainstream media here in America projected Donald Trump to be and what I had a chance to see personally. It was two different things.
Absolutely. So what is it that you saw from President Trump when you say that?
It was during this time, at first, everyone loved him. If you remember, in the United States, everybody loved Donald Trump. Then suddenly he started running for president and everyone thought it was going to be a big joke. Like all this was just a joke. He was doing it for publicity. But then when he started getting people following him, basically, he was not in the club. He was not one of those that the media chose to be the one that they loved. And so they started telling lies about him, things such as that he was a racist. And that certainly wasn't true. And I didn't see that at all behind the scenes, watching him interact with different minorities, including myself. I'm a minority myself. So I didn't see any of that. And so that just even drew me even closer to Donald Trump.
Absolutely. So have you sat it just you two alone in the room? And what was it like?
Yes. You know what? I spent a lot of time with Donald Trump alone with him, especially early on. Early on, it was just me, him, one bodyguard, and maybe one or two staffers. So I had a chance to see Donald Trump, not only him interacting with people that we've seen through the rallies. We have a chance to see what he's really like because he was really one of the first presidents that actually came out to the people and you could get a chance to meet him and he did rallies. But I also had a chance to see him behind the scenes and not only behind the scenes, but I see what he's like after he gets off the camera. And that's when you really can tell what a person's really like. Are they fake in front of the camera? And then behind the scenes, they're a different person. And he's not like that. He is a very, very kind man and a very wonderful man.
So have you sniffed anything around, whilst you were working for the president? Did you sniff any type of deep state behavior that you thought actually, they don't like Trump, or, apart from the media, any threats like that? Did you come across any, maybe assassination attempts?
Well, here's the thing about this, and I ended up becoming friends with a lot of people like George Papadopoulos, who's a wonderful friend of mine, who got a chance to see basically what the world does when you side with Trump. The world comes to attack you. That's what I've seen on the outside. But on the inside, I am telling you, Donald Trump is a person, number one, does not take orders from other people. So I know for a while there in the United States, there was this big thing that he's just a puppet. Donald Trump is just a puppet for the deep state. He is furthest from that. And the truth of it is the fact that he's still, to this day, being attacked by the media, by the political system, is just proof even more that he is a man trying to do what is right for our country.
Did you, when you started working for the president, was it before or after he announced that he was going to run for presidency?
It was before. It was probably like 3 months before. And this is the time that I really love, because it was the first year with Donald Trump was really fun because he didn't have Secret Service yet, but he did have his private security guards. And once you were there, it was fun because they know you, the security feels comfortable with you. And it was really fun. It was midway when Secret Service came to protect Donald Trump that it became very real and it became very busy. It was really just, it was, you could tell that you were in the midst of a presidency run. But in the beginning, it was really fun. It was really relaxed being with his personal bodyguard staff. It was wonderful.
So when you were assigned to be his photographer, or employed, if you like, by the president from 15 to 16, what type of events were you invited to go to take these photographs?
I had the best job because, number one, I worked with a man very famous in America. His name is Dan Scavino. And Dan Scavino is a person that is in charge, or still is pretty much, of Donald Trump's social media. So he was one of my bosses. And so I would go to the rallies, go in the audience, and where all the media had to be in the back row. The media was all the way in the back and they had to stay there. But I had the luxury of being able to walk around the rally, taking pictures for the campaign for Dan Scavino. But I had a really neat thing that I got a chance to do. I did the VIP photos, or some of them behind the scenes, where after or before the event, I would go backstage and then there would be people that would go back there and get that picture taken with Donald Trump. And so I had a chance to see him interact, not only in that setting, but after that setting when all the people were away. And what we have is a great American president.
Absolutely. Now, what was your thoughts when, Biden got in and Trump didn't? And although a lot of us here believe that Biden is not who he is, he doesn't look like Biden. So there's a lot of anomalies there. So who knows what's happening? If we're watching a movie, I have no idea.
I feel you on that. I feel you, but go ahead.
So what do you think's really going on? Was it a shock to you? Because I know that Trump is a type of person that breaks records. He's the type of person, when he does something, it's record. Nobody's done it before. Now,
right.
Do you believe that, he will come back?
Yes, 100%. 100%. And if it's not in 2024, and without getting all spooky, with the conspiracy theories, Donald Trump signed a lot of executive orders before he left, without getting too much into it. We're waiting. A lot of us here in America are waiting to see how the Durham investigation plays out. There's a lot of stuff still going on, and a lot of people don't understand. Everyone thinks Durham investigation was about 2015 and 16. Is not. He has the authority to go into 2020. So I'm not saying anything. I'm just sitting here behind the scenes, just watching it play out. But I could tell you, Donald Trump will be our president again. He will. And I know that. And I feel very, very confident about that. And one other thing, Nicholas, you mentioned it about, when Biden came into the presidency. I will tell you this, I was very, very upset. But then I am telling you, there has been a profound change in America. In 2016, we were part of what we call the silent majority. So the people that even supported Trump never said so because we were afraid. We were afraid to put our necks out for Donald Trump. Now it's different. Now what we have in America, and we see this through the Reawaken tour with General Flynn, Eric Trump. I believe Donald Trump Jr. is going to be on the tour starting in July. But what you have is Americans saying, listen, we're not part of the silent majority anymore. We want to speak out. And that's what we see going on in America.
So now that Biden has been president now for about 2 years, or almost, 2 years now, do you believe that there's been a big shift in the American people outside of the alternative media, of the truth community, or the so-called the conspiracy world? Do you think that the public is now seeing it and acknowledging that Trump was a good president?
Right. Here's what's going on in America. And this you can't stop. As General Flynn said, you can't hide $4 a gallon gasoline. I don't know what in the UK that it equals out to, but $4 a gallon for gasoline in America is very taxing on us. It is very painful to fill up when I travel, I'm filling up my gas tank, and every time I fill it up is equivalent to one night's hotel stay. So that's how much it weighs on us. But what we're seeing in America, regardless of what the mainstream media happens to be reporting, but there are a lot of people here in America that says, listen, I don't like Donald Trump. I don't have to like him. In fact, he gets on my nerves. He's really mean on Twitter. But they're saying, you know what? The guy knew how to run the country. He did a good job. And I have friends that voted for Biden that said, next time I will not do that. I will vote for Trump. And that's what we're seeing in America. Flat out, we're seeing that in America.
Before you was able to see Donald Trump perform in his presidency, what type of a president did you think he would be before he was president?
You know what? I saw him behind the scenes and I knew he would make an amazing president. And it was. I mean, we are nostalgic for his presidency and what he did, especially the first 2-3 years before all the COVID stuff. But I saw him behind the scenes, and he's a person that gets things done. I remember one time I was with him and someone came up to us and said, hey, I have a problem. Whatever it was, I stepped away to let them have a private conversation. And then Donald Trump afterwards said, hold on. He goes, Hope. He was talking about Hope Hicks, one of his main assistants. And he says, listen and take notes and make sure you get all our information so I could get back to her. That's most people, politicians, I've seen them all. Oh, you have a problem? Okay, yeah, here's my business card. Just give me a call here, whatever. That's not how Donald Trump did it. Someone had a problem and he got his assistant to take notes so she could give the information back to him. That's the type of president he is.
Mm-hmm. So did you have any type of personal conversation when it was just you and him about your views and what you wanted, change in America about?
No, but you know what the thing is? It wasn't so much what I wanted to change in America, but you have to remember, I was a person enamored with his books. He had The Art of Deal. He had other books, but I'll never forget it because he says, what is your favorite book? He goes, I bet it's The Art of the Deal. And I said, Mr. Trump, it's not that. It's Art of the Comeback, which is another book that maybe is definitely not as popular as Art of the Comeback. And it kind of struck him as like, that's interesting. And I began to tell him stories about that book, so that I guess that I was showing off that I actually read it. But it was neat. It was kind of a bonding moment because it was like, no, it wasn't this thing where I said what everyone else said. Oh, Art of the Deal is such a great book, But he knew that I was a fan of his, and I read all his books.
Did you ever manage? I mean, do you have his number where you can just FaceTime him?
No, a lot of things change after he becomes president. I do stay in touch with his family, especially Laura Trump. Laura Trump has invited me. I've been to in New York, Trump Towers. And so I stay in touch with the family. And obviously I can get in touch with Donald Trump if I needed to, but no, it's not. This is, and here's the other thing with this, and this is how you know I'm telling the truth about Donald Trump. When I was with him, even though if you would ask me, I would say, yeah, I'm his friend. It was a very much employee-employer relationship. You know, I respected him greatly as a boss. I called him at the time before he was president, Mr. Trump, and then later on, Mr. President. And so it was a very employer-employee type relationship. But what that does, it shows me that I can see as a fly in the wall what he's really like behind the scenes.
So why do you say that you believe you are 100% sure that Trump is coming back? What is it that you've seen and heard that makes you so sure that he's going to be back?
Anyone here that you talk to that is objective, that is in America, will tell you that everywhere we go, that there is a groundswell of support for Donald Trump. And to prove it, I've been to California probably since the last 7 years, maybe close to 10 times to California. And in the beginning, I'll be honest, we used to go there and we used to go to the hotels, and at breakfast, we'd hide our MAGA gear, we'd hide our patriotic gear because we were afraid of the backlash of the general public. I've been to California in the past year, maybe 4 times, and it's a totally different California even. We're able to walk around in MAGA gear in California. This whole United States, if you were here, we'd love to have you visit us sometime here, but you could feel it. America wants Trump back. And like I said, even the people that didn't like him, they're like, you know what? We don't have to like the guy. The chances of actually meeting him in person is almost nothing. So we don't have to like him, but we like what it was. We like what America was back then. And that's what I see.
Absolutely. I mean, even if people can't appreciate his personality, that's not what his presidency was about. It's about what he stood for and what he did by closing down manufacturers, bringing them back to the US and increasing jobs. 11 million, I believe it was during the pandemic, which the media never covered. And believe me, people here in the UK really, really want Trump to be back. And I think Trump should really know that. Many people around the world want him to be back.
That is wonderful. And, you know, it's interesting because I don't know how the media is there in the UK. If I had to guess, would be very much like in America. But if you read the news, basically America's onto the game. They figured it out on their own. Back in 2015, I remember when Donald Trump talked about the fake news media. I thought it was the funniest thing because I thought he was just making fun of them. And then we started to see the media and really how it's a tool to convince people to vote one way or the other. And people are done with it. People are absolutely done with it.
Now, Trump is a very big fan of the gold standard because we can compete fairly. All the currencies are on level playing field. I believe that the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, 2001, I believe, was going to be announced, which was Nasara, on the morning of 9/11. And the 9/11 attacks were a distraction of that happening. What do you think Trump thinks about Nasara Jasara? And do you believe that it will be implemented?
You know what? I don't know what Donald Trump thinks about that. I hate to even imply that I would know. But I will say, about what I know about the gold standard and so forth. The bottom line is this: is what we have now with runaway inflation, is what we have now better, or is there another way even better than that? And I believe there is, because what we're seeing here in America is a tremendous runaway inflation, and there's nothing that they could do about it. In here, some of the entry-level jobs, whether you want to believe that it's a good job or not, but a lot of the entry-level jobs, basically the minimum wage is slowly going up to $20. I mean, it's completely runaway inflation. And it's affecting everything that we're doing here. If there's really a homeless problem, even in Florida, in Disneyland, there's a homeless problem because the rents have raised so high. But the thing is, what we as Americans want and have always done is said, listen, you know what? We don't understand the nuances of all the economy, but we know Trump does and did. And so we want Trump to come back so we could see, basically return back to what we had and make it even better.
Do you believe that some of the leaders around the world who are bad for so many decades, um, do you think that a lot of them who we still think are alive, do you think that they've been taken out, but it hasn't gone public?
You know, I hear a lot about that, and the thing is, even now, I remember like a lot of people have in the past tried to peg me as a conspiracy theorist or whatever, and I'm familiar with a lot of them. But one of the things I do say is that I only talk about things I know of 100% correct and right. But it's funny because I remember my wife, who researches a lot more than me, and I'll never forget it. She would say stuff about me, about what she knew, and I was like, no, that can't be true. That you're crazy, absolutely crazy. And then I research it, whatever it may be she's talking about, and like it's all there. It's 100% documented and there for everyone to read. It's not a conspiracy, but yet mainstream media wants to peg everybody that doesn't think their way as being the conspiracy theorist. And America and people around the world are onto their game. They're like, no, we're the ones who did the research. We're the ones asking questions. And sometimes we're merely asking questions. And yet the media pegs us to be conspiracy theorists. Why? Because they want to be the ones spoon feeding us in what we should believe.
Absolutely. Okay, let's just leave the media to one side and we'll leave all these conspiracies to one side. I mean, I really respect you when you say that you only talk about things that you know 100%. So let's talk about that. What can you tell us 100%? Okay. But listen, I know that, people might have told you things and, you're not at liberty to say, who told you. So we won't say those names if you're not, if you're not allowed to. I get that. But let's just talk about what Gene Ho knows. Doesn't matter who told you, but 100% that you would like to share with us.
Okay. All right. Here's the thing. I have a friend, and I love this conversation. This is good. I have a friend who actually he's a movie director now, a documentary director, great friend of mine. He used to be a warden in a prison. And he told me, he goes, I was a warden in the prison. Everyone in the prison is a liar. But he says, you know what? Here's the thing. In the prison, I could always tell who's telling the truth or what the truth is. He says, if you have a person here, they're lying, but they'll say like one aspect of the truth. And this person that doesn't know this person is lying, but he'll say one aspect because they always want to throw in some truth in there. And this person, he says, all you have to do is connect the dots. 3 people don't know each other, but they all say this one thing, the same thing. Everything else is a lie. And that's how he knows or comes to the truth. With me, with what it is, I can say this. This I don't know 100%, but this I can say about what I heard from 3 different people, 4 different people that don't know that I'm talking to them. It's just that like all these people that don't know each other or know each other don't know that they're speaking together or conspiring together. All are saying, look into devolution. And this is documented. And it's interesting because the mainstream media is not talking about it at all. Whereas when it comes to, if I could say that word here without you getting banned.
We're not really allowed to, but don't worry. I'll take that out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay.
But they don't talk. They talk about that because it's easy to say, well, that's false, that's false, that's false. But with devolution, notice that the mainstream media isn't talking about that. It's up to you to research if Donald Trump, and I say if he signed something in there with a executive order. And also one thing I can tell you 100%, because I looked it up myself, look at the Durham investigation and his scope of what he is allowed to investigate. Everyone thinks it's 2015 and 2016. His web is very, very big. this is John Durham and his investigation. So research that and come to your own conclusion.
How do you believe from your research that the world is going to know that we've all been enslaved? Do you think it's going to be a slow reveal where it's going to tell people subconsciously and they won't be affected and it will be a slow shift over a decade? Or do you think it's going to be bam in your face? This is what's happened.
I think, Nicholas, you will be pleasantly surprised about how many people actually know the truth. People aren't watching the news through those main channels anymore. They're watching programs like yours. They're watching programs in America like Mel K and Patriot Street Fighter. These are people that are basically on Rumble and YouTube, and people are watching more of them and getting their news more from them than mainstream media. You'd be surprised. I mean, I know so many people that you would never expect, and then you would talk to them, and where they're getting the news from is people like you. They're out there. Some of them are still silent, but more people know the truth than me or you think about it. It really is. We're about there.
So back to the 100% game. Okay.
See, I love this guy. He takes me and puts me in a corner. Talk.
And it's okay. And it's okay if you say yes or no, or, I don't know, it's, some people say, oh, Obama is already, gone and Hillary Clinton's gone and she's not with us anymore. And they've all been executed and Trump refurbished Gitmo 5 times bigger than what it was as soon as he became president because, to put all these people in prison. Is that true?
I don't. We're going back to that. Like I have to know it personally. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But I will say this, I'm a big fan of using the mainstream media's own coverage as fact. The New York Times, I believe, has a reporter dedicated to Gitmo. Like it's either a fact or it's not, but you can research it yourself. But I do know that when Donald Trump came into office that he greatly expanded it. So what was he doing it for? I don't know. I really don't. So we just have to wait and see what happens. How's that for an answer? How's that?
Well, listen, I mean, you've got to answer it the best you can. I mean, I want to know, but the viewers want to know too. And this is what my platform's about, is providing truth. And, I put my shoes in the viewers' perspectives to see what we can get out of it. But, we want to be as close to the truth and accurate as possible. And sometimes it's good to talk around it, speculate and wonder, because that's how we, figure things out sometimes. And we could, so some people, we're talking about, have people been executed who we still think is alive? How about the other way around? How about, are there people that we think who are dead, but really they're alive? You know that?
I love you. Yeah. No, you know what? Listen, I only speak about what I know, and who knows? It's stranger things have happened, so we'll say it like that. And the thing is, I got thrown into this. I never imagined myself in the public eye doing what I'm doing, let alone speaking on behalf of the patriots in America. And to be honest, it's there's been a great spiritual awakening in America towards Jesus. But the bottom line is, I am a researcher just like everyone else. I mean, my wife is too. I love going into these and just saying, listen, if the mainstream media says this thing, possibly it might be the exact opposite. And if you start thinking about that, is this like, whenever I watch something on YouTube and I see 5 million views, I ask myself, okay, what are they trying to teach us? And then I go to another program is only 50,000 or whatever. And I say, you know what? Let me research that. There might be something there. So anyway, I'm just like you and your audience. I love doing my research.
What is the most wow information that you've got recently about what can happen in the future, despite and especially that you do speak to Lara Trump, you're close with Eric and Donald Trump Jr.?
You know what? The thing is, and this is the truth. This is the very truth of the matter. All these people aren't behind the scenes. Laura Trump, Eric Trump. I see him, Eric backstage, and no one's really going, hey, this is what's going on. No one's saying that. If you please just actually listen to their speeches, listen to Eric's speeches. I believe they're on Rumble from the Reawaken America tour. Here's another. Watch Kash Patel's video. What they're saying is almost out in the open. I mean, the bottom line is Eric Trump is saying, listen, hold on, help is coming, help is on the way. What does he mean by that? Well, I'm going to tell you that he's not backstage saying, oh, this is going to happen. Here's the secret. He's telling America, everyone, just chill out. Things are going to go good, but you have to step up. And that is honestly what I'm hearing, even behind the scenes. No one's really whispering about what it is. Everything is out in the open, or out in the open on some of these shows like yours. People are out there talking about it.
Absolutely. And I completely understand that. And if I was interviewing Donald Trump, one of the questions, when he says, yo, we were going to take back the House, one of my questions would be, what is the process in order for that to happen? What needs to happen before then in order for that to happen legally? And so that the public can accept it as well going forward. How will you do that? Because that's never really spoken about. But I completely understand that they can't speak about that. They only tell us up until a point because they don't want to give the enemy they don't want to tell the enemy what they're doing. What do you think about that?
No, that is wonderful, Nicholas. And not that you wouldn't know, but just to inform your audience, because I don't know how much they understand about American politics. Donald Trump is extremely smart. When everyone was worrying about election stuff here, machines, everything was about machines. Do you know what Donald Trump was doing behind the scenes? Donald Trump was working with state legislatures to work to tighten up election laws when it comes to things like mail-in voting, things such as election integrity, where people actually have to give their driver's license to prove who they are. These were the things Donald Trump was doing, where all the shiny things were happening over here, all these shiny, oh, machines. What was Donald Trump doing? Behind the scenes, he was working with the state legislatures to strengthen the laws of voting. And he'd done that in Texas, the battlegrounds. He did it in all the battleground states, or most of them. And so once again, this is all documented. There are so many, I think, don't quote me, but about 300 laws that were changed in America. And what people don't understand even in the United States, but in other countries, the election process is not national. In other words, there's no magic button you press to say, hey, no more machines. We're just going to use a purple thumb. You vote and you put a purple thumb. The elections in the United States is run by the states. And while everyone was worried and distracted here, what did Donald Trump do? He revamped the whole election process in many of these states. And so we're going to go out there in 2022. We're going to vote, and we're going to win back the House, and we're going to win back the Senate. And when that happens, it's going to clear a path, because that's what America wants right now.
So you're saying possibly that when we take back the House and the Senate in 2022, the midterm elections, that will pave the road for Donald Trump to run again in 24. And because he's secured all of the state legislators and the systems around the whole of America, there will be no more, it will be complete integrity. I want to be careful with my words because of YouTube censorship, but there'll be complete integrity.
You're on the right track here. I hate to ever use the word complete, and I don't want to get you banned here as well, because I don't want to say, oh, this was, I get it, okay? So I'm going to be very careful about what I say here. But Donald Trump has strengthened the electoral process. When everyone was distracted and saying, oh, it's all about the machines, Donald Trump went underneath the hood and fixed fundamentally what was wrong with it. has to do with the mail-in vote. There's movies about it, 2,000 Mules. For YouTube's sake and censorship's sake, I'm not making any claims that it was fraudulent in 2020. I'm just not going to go there for the sake of you and for the sake of the viewership. But what I can tell you is that Donald Trump has not been asleep at the wheel. And if you understand American politics, everyone thinks, even Americans, thinks that the electoral process is national. It is not. It is governed by each state. And Donald Trump knows that. And he went behind the scenes to strengthen it in each state so that there will be a fair election in each state. And that's an amazing thing that he's done. And it's typical Donald Trump. He's going where everyone thinks he's stupid and he's doing whatever, and he comes through the back door and fixes it. It's wonderful.
So, you know Donald Trump's, because you've been around him, so you know his personality a little bit more than the average person. So, I saw a video of him playing golf, and a gentleman said, 45th president of the United States.
47th.
And he says 45th and the 47th, he says, and then, I love that video. For him to joke like that, okay, analyzing his character now, is he joking like that because there's truth in it? Does he believe that he is going to be the 47th president of the United States?
You know what? Donald Trump is a person that his number one is used to getting his way, but he has paths to do it. A lot of people don't know this because I was there with him in 2015. His first United States primary, he lost. I'll never forget it because we thought he would steamroll the whole thing. And Donald Trump lost his first primary. I believe it was Iowa. Don't quote me. I think that's the first one. But he lost it. And I was there. And it wasn't a pleasant moment behind the scenes. But he knows how to gather his people together and say, listen, what can we do to win next time? And we did. He did. He steamrolled it the rest of the way, almost all the way to Super Tuesday. So a lot of this whole thing about Donald Trump, because he is known as a winner, that he never loses. And I'm not saying anything about the 2020 election. I'm just saying, like, when people think that Donald Trump is down, sometimes it's actually by design that he's actually well on the way to a victory. It's like I call it the fumble rooski in football. You fumble the ball. Everyone thinks that you goofed up, but you really have a plan behind it. And that's how Donald Trump is. He's absolutely brilliant at what he does.
Absolutely. So it's very, very interesting. So tell us now. I've been watching David Straight. I don't know too much about him. He's new to me. I've been watching him. What can you tell us about him? And are you in touch with him?
I will tell you this when it comes to that. And just so you know, everyone in the United States is asking me about that, asking me about JFK Jr. and all of that stuff. It is a resounding no comment on any of that. There might come a time that I'll speak in the future, but I'm going to tell you right now, anything to do with JFK Jr. is a 100% resounding no comment.
So you don't believe? I mean, you don't want to even say, from yourself that.
No, 100% no comment.
Okay. Okay. Well,
it's cool. It's cool. I hate to ruin the the chemistry between me and you. No, just it's no comment.
Okay. How about all of how has he impacted you, and what did you learn from him that you liked?
About Donald Trump?
Sorry?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Donald Trump?
No, but sorry, about David Straight.
Oh, no comment at all with David Straight. No comment at all with JFK Jr. No comment at all with South Dakota. By the way, I know what you're talking about, and everywhere I go, people ask me about that. So
no worries at all. We won't go into that then. Why don't we talk about what's inspired you to write your book? If you could share that, please, with us.
Nicholas, the interesting thing about this and how my book is the truth. After I was with Donald Trump in 2016, I thought my life would change for the better. It actually changed for the worse because the United States went through a period where everyone was boycotting everyone that had anything to do with Trump. And so I used to have a very, very large photography company, 25 employees, doing high-end weddings all over the United States. And after 2016, it all got boycotted. Some people who even some people who hired me that were Trump fans for their weddings, I couldn't go back to it. They fired me because I would be too much of a distraction, that too many of the people in their wedding just didn't like Donald Trump and they didn't want me, you know, to be there. So I lost all that business. And during that time, it was very hip to basically go out and write a nasty book about Donald Trump, score $1 million, $2 million payday. And I could have done that. I could have wrote a book about lies about Donald Trump, wrote a lot of nasty things, got paid. And could you just imagine me that close to him? And as a minority, I could have told millions of lies and it would have been a lot of money and I could have just cashed out and you'd never see me again. Just live my life. But I decided to write a book about truth, about Donald Trump, what I saw and what I saw firsthand, because I believe and I've seen Donald Trump, to be a very good man behind the scenes.
Well, that's very honorable of yourself. And you're a very, very honorable person. That's what I get, the feelings and the vibe that I get from you. I would gladly leave the link below for your book so that people can have a read and can have a look. Someone who's worked so close to Donald Trump. The other thing I was going to say was, what was the response like from your friends and family when you were working with Trump and you felt so emotionally connected to Trump, but not just emotionally, but on a professional level as well? What was the response like from your family? Maybe your immediate family were okay, but how about your extended family, like your aunties and your cousins?
No, it was, the thing is, to be honest, when it was in 2015 and 16, I was part of the silent majority. So for lack of a better word, when people would ask me if I supported Trump, I would say, no, I'm just working for the guy. I'm working, it's a job. And I was a silent majority. You could even call it lying or however you want to do it, but I wasn't truthful. It wasn't until the day before the election, I changed my Facebook profile to public and I made a public statement in support for Donald Trump. And so everything was fine before then. I just didn't realize the amount of grief I would have after the election by saying that I supported Donald Trump. My photography business, I was a staunch liberal, and my photography business had a lot of people that were very liberal in their beliefs there, and they didn't like it. And I got from some of my family members, like "See, I told you so. You should just shut up and not say anything." And if you know anything about the Chinese culture, the Chinese people are people that, generally speaking, don't like to make waves. I mean, that's how the Chinese people became successful in this country. We didn't make a big deal about things, and we quietly worked behind the scenes, and we became the best of what our country has to offer there. My sister's a doctor. Many of the Chinese people are very successful, but they have been successful because we, as a people, have kept our mouths shut. We did not speak out. And so me, as an Asian American, born in America, I decided to do the opposite. I spoke out, and there's consequences to speaking out, and it wasn't always comfortable.
Absolutely. Well, Gene Ho, it's been an absolute honor to have you on my show. Thank you so, so much for sharing that with us. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
You know what? The thing I want to say about the viewers is that it is not me who's out there doing it. It's not even you that's out there doing it. It is everyone listening in. And it could be just as simple as you publicly professing or sharing this video or other ones of your video, and not be afraid to let other people know, hey, we listened to Nicholas. There's great points there. It might not be what the mainstream media is pushing, but check it out. And so the more that we are not afraid, the better off America is, because there's actually more of us than they are of them.
Absolutely. Well, Gene Ho, thank you so much. And we'll speak again very soon. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Me too.